Greg's career in the Fire Brigade was really fabulous. So it meant a lot to him. It was part of who he was, and it was also part of our family's identity. So our family got very used to the rhythm of shift work, and we sort of built our family life around that. Our children were very used to the fire station and the fire engine and dropping off and picking up and all that sort of thing. So it was part of him, it was part of our family. There was a real pride in what he did, in the role he played in the community. He was regularly at their schools with the fire engine and all those sorts of things. So yeah, it was a great career for him, but an important part of who our family was as well. I think it was a couple of years before Greg actually left Fire and Rescue that we began to see changes in him and began to think that perhaps things weren't progressing as we thought they would. He had a really successful career in the Fire Brigade, became a station officer, we'd had time in Wagga Wagga, and things were going really well. However, once the injuries started, then that halted that progression. So injuries to his shoulders, time away from the job, then back in the job, then out again for more injuries. And at the same time, that really impacted on our family. So he was home a lot more, he had a lot more anxiety, a lot more things to deal with now that he had all this time on his hands to look back, perhaps to look back on 30 years of often quite an eventful and traumatic career. Our son was doing the HSC at the time, our daughter was at university, so they also had pressures in their own life, and I think Greg increasingly felt dislocated from his job, his role in Fire and Rescue, but in a sense also dislocated from the family as well. So that was quite a difficult time to process over those 2 or 3 years. During this period of when Greg was at home and transitioning out of Fire Brigade, one of the challenges was that my career was progressing, and I had just stepped into a new position at a new school, and I was travelling and working quite long hours, and Greg was really supportive of that. And I remember him saying to me when I questioned, was this a good time for me to be stepping into something new, that he said the last thing he wanted to be worrying about was that I wasn't taking up opportunities, and that he wanted to be really supportive of where my career was going, which he was wonderfully supportive. But I really wanted to be there for him as well. I was mindful of the very long hours that I was working, and so one of the challenges was being able to focus on school while I was at school, but being supportive of him as well. And I think the other challenge was just around our children. They were 18 and 21, but keeping things as normal as possible for them as well. During the time of Greg's medical discharge, which for Greg went over a period of time, I think a couple of things were really important for me. The first one was just to keep enjoying my work. I love teaching, and I loved the school that I was working in. It was a new position and a new challenge. I had a great team to work with. So being able to just really delight in that and enjoy that myself, and then to come home and share that with Greg was really, really good. And the other thing was, we didn't talk about what Greg's discharge was like for him with a lot of people, but I had some really close friends, just a couple of close friends who I could talk about it with and share my frustrations with, and just be with, and that was really important to have that support as well. I think as I talk about it now, a few years removed from the process, it sounds like it was sort of straightforward and easy to manage, and it wasn't. It really wasn't an easy process, and there were times where it was quite stressful and had quite an impact on our family, and there were times where we would get frustrated with the process and frustrated with each other and so on. But as I look back on it now, the important times were when we really deliberately put that frustration aside and said, okay, we're in this together and we're moving forward, and we've committed to seeing this through and doing it the best way we can, and just coming back to that sort of core principle. We spent an awful lot of time walking together. So when we decided that, when we perhaps were frustrated, or we'd had a bad week, or we didn't want to go into a social situation or something where, again, people would be asking about work and everything, we would take ourselves down to Cronulla or, Sans Souci or somewhere like that, somewhere by the water, and we'd just walk. Life now is full of its own set of really exciting opportunities and challenges. Greg's career continues to move forward, and he continues to have lots of opportunities in consultancy and things like that that he's really looking forward to.